Mrs. Mayor of the City of Milan, Mr. Rector of the Boccoli University, Mr. President of Corriere della Sera, dear Mario Monti, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, permettez-moi simplement d'un mot, madame, de vous dire que pour un Français, d'être dans la ville qui a du méritant Stendhal, qui, comme vous le savez, était milanais, il se proclamait milanais, c'est un immense plaisir. It's a great pleasure to be here at this forum, and I wholeheartedly thank you for having invited me. After presenting some key features of globalization, I would like to discuss their implications for inflation and monetary policy, as well as issues related to the governance of globalization at an international level. Globalization, while frequently quoted in many circles, is a rather broad concept open to many definitions. To my mind, a succinct general characterization of globalization in the current context can be thought of as essentially consisting of two main elements. First, globalization involves the entrance of new participants into the global marketplace. On this count, there has been a significant expansion in global productive capacity over the last decades. This has come through the opening up of emerging economies to international trade and production, notably the greater involvement of emerging Asia in world trade, as well as Central and Eastern Europe following the collapse of Soviet Union. On the basis of one measure, an export to GDP weighted labor force, the effective global labor supply quadrupled between 1980 and 2005, with much of the increase having occurred since 1990. The second main element of globalization is the growing interdependence between both existing and new participants via trade, production, and financial market linkages. Trade in goods and services has effectively doubled over the last 20 years, with world imports and exports of goods and services as a share of world GDP having increased from 33.9% of world GDP in 1986 to 60% of world GDP in 2006. The increase in interdependence on the financial side has been even more impressive, with the share of gross international asset holdings in world GDP, which provides a measure of financial openness, having exhibited an eightfold increase over the last 25 years, now standing at more than 130% of world GDP. Indeed, global cross-border capital flows have been growing at an extremely robust pace over the last decade, increasing threefold as a percentage of GDP. For the euro area over the last decade, the stock of outward and inward foreign direct investment has virtually doubled as a percentage of GDP since 1999. Ultimately, these globalization forces provide the scope for many economic benefits, including more efficient resource allocation, along with welfare gains from deepening specialization, cheaper products, and greater product choice. But as the economic and financial effects of the changing global landscape are multifaceted, they imply policy challenges at both the domestic and international level. I do not intend to address all of these policy challenges today. Rather, I would like to focus on two specific challenges: the implications of globalization for inflation and monetary policy, and the governance of globalization at the international level. The aspects of globalization I have been describing thus far entail many important macroeconomic consequences for the euro area as well as other global regions. Perhaps most crucial from a central banking perspective is the impact impact on consumer price inflation. While several ways of classifying the impact are possible, I think that a simple taxonomy of globalization's influence on inflation into two main channels, direct and indirect, provides a useful one in characterizing the effects on inflation. First, globalization has strong direct effects on price movements of certain goods and services, and in this sense can be thought of as a shock exerting a strong